Oh, Fanatic. Uh, do we
It
have
won't
any?
get better.
Do we have any more fire left after that one?
Oh, the fire's coming out for this one. I already know.
All
'Cause I
right.
know everybody. If people can't get that one right, I already know we're going to go ham for sure.
Okay. Blackfishing is when non-black individuals alter their appearance to try to appear more black for profit, with that profit often coming from regurgitating stereotypes about black people. Jessie Nelson, a white British singer, is being accused of blackfishing in her latest video. In it, she darkens her skin and wears clothing typical of urban blacks. Nicki Minaj, who sings a verse for the song, defended Jessie, saying that she simply tans a lot. Do you believe blackfishing is an actual problem? Do you think that this is something that specifically needs to be condemned? Or do you think that imitation is the highest compliment and that we should look at this as a form of advancement when people want to emulate us? Okay. Thank you, Amanda Smash, for the kind gift sub there. That's awfully kind of you. Thank you so much. Okay. So, yeah, blackfishing. And you might have not have heard of it, but it's a thing. It's happening, especially on social media. We've covered this topic in a different context previously, but last time was Instagram, where there's a lot of Instagram models, whatever the fuck, right? Who are like white as the day, white as what's something that's
The wall
white?
behind me.
The wall behind you, yeah, sure. But like people who are extremely fucking white, who instead start darkening your skin to like for the style, for like cred, and for money, right? Like because they have this certain look, right? This exoticism, it garners attention. So Jessie Nelson's being accused of doing something similar in this video. Do you all think that this is that big of an issue, or like this trend towards individuals emulating black people just might be a good thing? Before we jump into it, thank you for the kindness. Thank you, Amanda Smash, for the gift sub. Thank you, Crystal Clear Art, for a sub as well. And then Big Kumba comes in with a sub, one sub, yeah, gifting a sub. Thank you, Big Kuba, for that sub. And then Anonymous Gifter gifted a sub as well, putting us at 69%, nice, of a level 1 hype train. 33% left, or 31%, excuse me, 31% left. Can we get to a level 2 hype train? Help us out. Subs to the channel, gift bits or gift subs. That's how we power this, how we keep this channel alive. So if you would like to help out, I can't do my usual spiel right at this moment, but if you would like to assist and keep enjoying this content, invest in this community, subs to the channel, gift bits, gift subs, all the things, and help us get to level 2, level 3, level 4 hype train. All right, so I'm going to give opening statements to you all. Sorry, Jamali.
I had a really hard time initially trying to figure out how I felt about this, because I just wanted to figure out if I cared or not. And then it came doing a little bit more research and stuff and doing more into like the story in the article and who she is, whatever. I mean, I've seen no indication of like her lifestyle growing up, whatever. I don't care about that. Is characterizing or idealizing or imitating the black subculture of gang violence, drugs, and all the bad things that shouldn't be popular in the black community good? No, that is generally what seems to happen here. Is that these people they aren't imitating the like good things about black communities or black people, perseverance through hardship, and generally just the the ability to go on, right? Perseverance, being very persistent and not being battened down, smashed by other outside forces. So I mean, like, it's usually literally only the negative parts of the culture that people tend to take and blow up with. So overall, that's bad. Do I think it's a large problem? I don't know. I haven't seen that many artists myself that have done this, or there are a couple probably that I could think off the top of my head, like what's his name? Bruno Mars. He's a literal I think he's like an Ashkenazi Jewish person, hereditarily, but a lot. I didn't even know he wasn't black until like fucking 2 years ago. Like I genuinely thought he was black. A lot of the things in the music and that he depicts and stuff tends to be pretty urban or of that sort of area or range. So I mean, yeah, there are probably things where we shouldn't be promoting a negative part of our culture. And I like if it wasn't for the fact that people only literally took those parts, I think I'd probably be okay with it. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Look, next, Bam.
Yeah, this may be our take. There's like different dynamics that the conversation can come from. I don't know which one we'll end up having. We may end up having all of them. From the perspective, the first perspective of people using the black stereo, like white people using the like black stereotype, or anybody using the black stereotype for like to profit. I have a big problem with that. I think that's because they're only willing to go so far, and they're like usually they're not down when it comes to the actual issues within the community. Like it's just for them to like come in and steal profits, like getting the black aesthetic from a non-black person. So yeah, have a big issue with that. Dealing with her specifically, it's probably some level of blackfishing, but it's also probably like if I had to end up looking like at the girl historically, like even in her childhood pictures. Now, don't get me wrong, she's nowhere near as dark as this, but she is like darker than the average white person. Like she does have some level of natural tan, even from like apparently 5 and younger, and now she's used that tan to get darker than she already was. So I mean, I don't know if that was necessarily her. I can't prove her intentions, but that she does have some natural level of tan. Third, as far as is it something black people should care about? Like I said, as far as people profiting off of it, yes. But outside of that, I think it's way down the list of priorities for the black community, because I think having like strong opinions on what people can do with their bodies will have like a long-term negative, like will have like some long-term negative implications that I don't think we'll be able to deal with, even when it comes to issues like this. And I don't think we're going to end up on like the transracial guideline of this conversation. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to end up down that route, but I don't believe that it's something like, is it something we can all have opinions on? Like, I think it's weird that people do these types of things, but going any further than having some like personal surface level opinion is like, I think there's a lot of like negative implications that could come from that. So I think for the most part, it's probably something the black community and people in general should avoid. And yeah, I'm good.
Azzy.
Yeah, if we're gonna come after fishing, which I really feel is like a meager distraction, but it's entertainment, so we gotta talk about it. Or the entertainment industry rather. Excuse me. Mucus. I've been sick of late. If we gotta talk about black fishing, we gotta talk about Asian fishing, we gotta talk about why black women continue to dye their hair blonde or continue to do things that are you would talk about things. Is white fishing a thing? I don't know, but there was a time when we had to in order to get ahead, but now I don't think so, especially since there's been such even in New York they made it illegal to discriminate against black hairstyles. So there's been a lot of progress, but we still see people in media and social media per se who ascribe to themselves these unrealistic features that are of a certain group, and they get a lot of views, and that's the point. That she's building the business. If anything, if I look at the we're talking about the Jay Nelson, I don't know. She's that pale ghost lady that we got to be. And now she's just now changing her whole appearance.
It's Jesse Nelson. Sorry, just so Azzy, I apologize. Continue.
No, yeah, and to the person in chat, there's definitely an epidemic of Black Americans or anybody who bleach their skin. Black and brown people definitely bleach their skin. It's a big problem in Africa. If you don't know about this, you're not informed. You got to tap in. Anywho, there is a lot this is like, and I just watched this video a while ago by Noir, TEE, talked about society versus the average looking black woman, right? How society likes to see black women or black or brown looking women, typically of the fairer skin, who have certain like long hair features or that nice wavy hair. They like certain colors. They anything that's like urban or cool, especially since that's that's trendy as right now. Like this isn't a new thing. This isn't a new thing. It's gonna keep reoccurring. We're gonna keep hearing about this. So I do not think this is as large of a problem that we need to continue. I mean, for those who are being gatekept, for those who are in the industry and they're losing out on money, especially the dark skinned women who have or of Africana features or of indigenous features, those people are losing out. But yeah, they need to continue, and we support them when the time arises. But I really feel like we need to be a little bit more I don't want to say objective. We need to be more charitable to other cases as well. Like I said, like there are black women who will put on Asian features in order to make money.
We'll
But
get
yeah,
to it when you open up. Thank you so much. You said some things I really want to respond to later on, but we're going to go to Mr. Fanatiq.
Okay, look, blackfishing is a really, really terrible thing, and I'll explain why. It's because in reality, like it just furthers a bunch of racism in the sense that a lot of times people have these biases that like make them not really appreciate like black artists. These like unconscious biases that like make them want to gravitate towards white artists. But as we know, especially within United States culture and pretty much around the world, black people are incredibly influential. Hip hop is like literally the second most consumed genre of music in the world. And of course, that obviously came from niggas. Jazz, blues, all these other country, even. A lot of like our music came from black people, rock and roll. And so what ends up happening is we find that a lot of times white people will love our culture while like not really caring about us. This is exemplified by the fact
Pause
that
for a
like
second before you go into the rest of it. I know. I'm sorry. Fanatiq, again, I apologize for interrupting you. I might do it again though.
yeah, I'm not. It's all good. It's all about the money. Get your bread, bro. I think so. Black music has been incredibly influential, but you find like polling data shows that like white people still can't get behind reparations for niggas, but they love our culture, right? They love it. They love our food. They love our dance. They love our swag. And then white wives love our penises. They just love us, okay? And so what we're discovering is that they love parts of us, but they don't actually love us, right? That's really what it is. They love us, but they hate us. And so they will find any sort of way they can get towards you get our music and our arts and our culture, but from non-white artists. Non-black artists. And so you see all of them like digging into it in order to make themselves wealthy. Ariana Grande does it. Like I think hers was like really, really atrocious. Like her tan, she like there's videos where she's like literally darker than Nicki Minaj, and it's just like nigga, like how, bro? They do the lip thing. The Kardashians made it incredibly famous, right? Now everyone's getting these BBLs. But all of this while we're constantly demonizing the image of black women, right? And we're finding like within music now that we're starting to have all of these different things that are like working against us as far as our levels of success, right? When Adele won that Grammy over Beyonce, and then you have Carlos Santana making stupid statements like, well, Beyonce's not a singer, right? Like, I can't believe niggas won't put respect on her name, right? So we're seeing this sort of thing happening on a regular basis, and I feel like a lot of times people are willing to like sweep it under the rug and pretend as if it's not a really huge deal, when in reality it's like it's actually really impactful for the artists themselves who are creating it. We saw the same thing happen in TikTok. This is the last thing I'll say. In TikTok, they had a strike where they were like, hey, we're just going to not come up with any more dances. And then it was just dry. It was just like barren because black creators are the ones coming up with these dances. And it's really insane that like Jimmy Fallon will bring on a white dancer to like do these dances created by black women, like to help her gain her popularity. Like that was what created and inspired that strike. And I think musically, we might need to do the same thing. It's pretty gross. And same with the Oscars and all these other things, right?
Love it. Thank you. And I really want to engage with all that.
Yeah, I sorry, I had to use a restroom. So I heard the tail end of your open, Fanatic, but I think for the most part, it sounded like we align. I was like, I looked at the video, and then I also like looked up the creative agency and the director and all that stuff. And I gotta say, yeah, it's like I don't like seeing other people profiting off of Black culture, because that's exactly what's happening. Um, it's terrible. I think it is a problem. I think saying blackfishing is just like, it has a name now because this is something that's been going on for decades. Um, People appropriating our culture, right? Whether it's like in the sound of the music, in the way that they dress, it needs to be condemned. And I I yeah, I don't think it's a compliment, because if it's a compliment, then you would pay people. Like you would donate to organizations. So no, yeah, I don't think it's a compliment or an advancement.
Okay. All right. So we're definitely gonna tackle this. Skanky AF, thank you for 5,000 bits just now. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Skanky AF. I hear you. I see you out there. Thank you for the support. And I'll give more people credit later on. I want to get the back to the content, but thank you, Skanky AF, for all of that. Thank you, all of you, for the help. And all right, so don't worry, we'll get back to the content. I got people here to yell at. It's gonna be great. Open to the panel. Open to the panel, please.
I know everyone mentioned like the perspective of like profiting off of, which I mentioned too, because I feel like that's the most important part. And I feel like we all like disagree about that. But how do we feel like, does this apply to people in general? Does this apply to like Lucy, who works in accounting at like random company, if she wants to, like, if she really likes the aesthetic of dark skin and thick lips, and that's just what she likes? Do we still hold the same position?
Of course, she's doing it to. If she's doing it to attract, if she's doing it because she wants to attract,
I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of gross to like sit here and just like really try to imitate my people like in that way. I think it's gross.
Yeah. I mean, like the same thing can be said for like it's like a Japanese thing, right? Like I forgot the name. It starts with a G. It's like people who will tan their skin.
Geisha?
No, it's not. Geisha is like a prostitute, a high-end prostitute. It's like Gyazo or whatever. I forget what it's called.
Girls. You mean Garu, like a Garu? Yeah.
Yeah,
they darken their skin and they have the blonde hair. Yeah.
Right. Why are they doing that? Is the big question. Is it because they're imitating Black culture because they want to be Black, or like what is it? There's usually more to it than that, and the nuance that never really comes to like, I like Black people or I support the struggles of Black people, because a lot of these people will pick the things that Black people have, whether physically or spiritually, like musically or whatever, but they don't actually care about Black problems, about people, like things that Black people face. They don't actually give a fuck.
But see, that's a problem right there, right? The example you brought up, I used to be able to pronounce this, but the gal, basically it's gal like in Japanese, right? But in any case, like that fashion sense, right? Like in case you guys don't know, they have a very distinctive look. So they darken their skin, like very tan, right? Like tannish, oranges type skin, and then they oftentimes bleach their hair, so it's more blondish, that type of thing. And then they have like really long, like ridiculous, like fake nails. You can understand what I'm saying here. But that didn't originate. That wasn't for imitating Black people. Like I've like looked into that specific trend, and that was let me just finish. That was about like pushing back, because in Asia, right, they have a preference for lighter skin, right? It's basically like a counterculture against that, right, of people having lighter skin. It's like I'm making myself the opposite of what you want, mom and dad, rather than I'm seeing Black people and I'm imitating them. Okay. And so
I didn't know that. I brought that up because I was like, why are they doing that, right? Yeah. But in a more local sense, right, in a Western culture for the person who came up, right, whatever her name is. Yeah, I watched the music video. She's like, it's all the worst things about, like, the bad things about Black culture, the, or just things that are so superfluous, right? The jewelry, the teeth, the bad fucking fashion design in some sense. It's insane. Um, that's awful, and that's almost essentially like minstrel shows, or the shows that would depict Black people doing Black character, like, things, but or it'd be white people with blackface. They take off their glove and shit and be like, yeah, I'm actually white, like shit like that. Like, that's essentially the same thing.
Okay.
It
Go
could
ahead,
look like.
Jay. Oh, did you want to
Yeah.
jump in?
Yeah, I
No,
do.
I saw her hand raised. I'll go.
Oh,
after.
okay. You're not good. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Evo said it, and I thought it before I saw chat, but Evo also said it. So are we saying that colorism is okay? Because why is it okay to have a double, like, it's a double standard? Like, you're only cool when you're parroting these stereotypes of Black people, right? You're only like bad and cool when you do that. Like, that's not good. That's why it should also be condemned. No?
Sure. Well, it's not just that. I think the other point is that for me, I feel like it's the separation from like actually caring about actually caring about any of the Black issues, right? Like for me, it if you just wanted to, if there's an artist named Moonchild, and I remember I watched her Tiny Desk, and on the Tiny Desk, like she was being incredibly, like she was just like super about like hey, like donate to Black causes. There's more than just holding up a sign and twittering on Twitter. There are Black businesses you can support and blah blah blah. And she like did this whole thing, and it was like out of nowhere, right? And I remember like thinking at that point, like, wow, this person is going beyond like anything I would have imagined in order to try to be an advocate. And I thought it was like it was a really good thing. And I feel like you find very often these people that don't actually advocate for Black causes that still want like the benefits of like Black culture. One of those people, there's this chick named Aquafina. It's this Asian chick, and if she goes on these characters like on just on Crazy Asians or whatever it was called.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians, and she was on that, and like she would always do this character, and the character was like noticeably Black, and the thing is that same person, when they ask her, like she's an actress, and she specifically said she refuses to do any movie in which they ask her for an accent, because she said she doesn't want to make a minstrel out of her people. And so it's like, wait a minute, you will go out of your way to do as much Blackness as you possibly can, but the second it like has anything to do with, if ever there's a case where someone wants you to do something Asian, like that has any that you can loosely trace back to a stereotype, you're 100% opposed to it. That to me is like, yeah, it's a sign. Like you don't actually care about the Black culture, you don't care about the Black experience. You're willing to like exploit it as much as possible, and you're doing that. I think that's gross.
Yeah,
Can I
I'll say
say
point to the ultimate example of using like which kind of the one that started all this, like Rachel Dolezal wasn't she like not a founding member of like a Black Lives Matter like branch, and she was like an activist, and she was like doing, I think she ran a drive where she was doing braids for like braids for free for young Black girls going back to school so their hair was done. Like it seems like as far as engagement in Black culture, she's going further than like the average nigga I know. Like
for sure. So she was like part of an NAACP chapter.
Yeah, NAACP, not Black. I'm not. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. The thing was, though, she would use her Blackness, whenever she could, and then at other times she would be at odds with it. For instance, there was a point in time where someone had denied her a scholarship, and she sued the school because of the fact that she said that they were discriminating against her for being white, and that's why she didn't get the scholarship. And so she like literally engaged in that. So it's like, oh, so now when it's convenient for you, you want to claim your whiteness. But then all the other times, it's like, no, trust me, I'm black. It's like I'm not with that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I can't respect that.
Mm.
And I think that to me is one of the biggest problems with all of these people and these culture vultures, right? Is because they get to have the best of both worlds. Like in the moment while they're pretending to be black, then like yeah, they get the swag and all of that stuff from being black. But then the second they ever want to abandon it, then they can just go ahead and toss that out the window and be like, I'm going back to my whiteness and taking my privilege with me. I think this is also something that Dave Chappelle talked about in the Closer special, the intersectionality of like privilege and oppression. And some of these people, they will do all these counterculture things while knowing they have the benefit of the white skin. That's going to make them make them be appreciated. And they can always retreat to it at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Iggy Azalea, like tomorrow, can just go ahead and be a white person, and white people would love her and appreciate her. They're all the same.
Yeah, there are ways to like be a part of the culture and not be black and not be like offensive. I would even say Eminem would probably be a really good example of this. Eminem is a literal an artist. He's a rapper, right? And rap is traditionally a black like thing, right? So like as a white rapper breaking into that industry, he didn't go ahead and try to like imitate like hard black rap. He made his own style. Like that's fine. You could do stuff. You can appreciate the culture and it's sort of even, and you can be a part of it without like fetishizing it and profiting off of it in a way that is disingenuous and and doesn't give any reverence to where it came from.
I was about to say Eminem is always. I don't like Eminem being used as a reference usually because Eminem raps like a white boy. Like at the end of the day, he's talented, but Eminem raps like a white boy. I think a better example would be like Paul Wall. You know, like if anybody's ever like
The people's champ.
Exactly. Like this man raps like the Houston Southern rap culture. Like he's like he didn't create a new branch. He got on the exact same wave as everybody else. And I mean, apparently in the city they respect him for it. Like it's not like he says like the N-word in the music or anything. But like
I don't know. A lot of it for me, honestly, personally, it just has to do with your upbringing too. Like if you're rapping about stuff that you have literally never been a part, you've never been down to the bodega, you've never seen like 15 niggas hanging outside a fucking project building, like playing dice and shit, like doing all these other things, you've never really been a part of it, you probably shouldn't be making anything regarding that if like you're claiming to have been a part of it. I think this is like an issue that people even have with like black rappers doing that, right? Like I don't want to bring up Drake, but like I think Drake would probably be an example of someone who has been caught saying stuff that is like, well, like hold on, nigga, like
I'm not tolerating any Drake slander. I'm just gonna let that be known right now.
Like started from the bottom, now we here.
Yeah, started from the bottom, now we're here. Like, okay, did you though? Like, all right, cool.
In comparison, it's the bottom for somebody.
I guess.
Drake is looking pretty Albania to me.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess to
Aubrey.
spice it up, to spice. I mean, this is honestly my opinion. Like, like I said, I really don't believe that. I don't believe that there's a lot of. I don't think there's a lot of value, or I don't think it'll be in our interest long term, or like in the interest of people long term, to have like more than like a personal opinion. Like I think it's weird for the average person on the street. Like again, now these celebrities, these artists who profit off of it, absolutely. But like I don't think that we could tell that like the white girl who in Starbucks that like I don't know, your curl pattern's a little too nappy or your skin's a little, you ain't that dark. Like I don't think there's anything we could do about that because it now, like how can we consistently
on a personal level,
justify...
fuck that. Yeah, on a personal level, it's like you can, I guess, judge them, but like I don't know, like it's whatever. Like I see a white person with dreads, I'm not gonna be like, you can't be doing that. You're not white.
No one here is advocating like us actually interacting with these individuals. We're giving our opinions for whether or not it's appropriate, whether or not it's harmful, and how we feel about it. Like that's been this conversation from the beginning. It's not like we're going out here like saying, oh, let's try to find a way of doxing the person or hacking the person. Like none of that's like part of the conversation.
I don't know. I guess it just depends, like, because there's so many other I don't know. I thought somebody else was gonna do it. I feel like this conversation comes down to I get we're just talking about blackfishing.
No,
I feel like I feel like it you can take it a step further and you get to the idea of the transracial thing, which is like super
no, you don't have to go that
controversial.
far.
You don't
You
have
don't
to,
have to go that far.
but
Yeah,
we're all
Because,
at
like I
this
said,
boring
there's
place of agreement.
because there's plenty examples of where. That's why I
Well,
said that it's
well,
not
I
just.
mean, I
Can
don't know. I think
somebody?
transracial is a whole other thing. I just disagree with that altogether. I think that's
I
pretty
really don't like.
stupid. Yeah, but I don't
I'm.
know.
So,
I don't know.
sorry,
Where you guys want to go with
Azzy,
it?
you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was. Thank you, Prime. I appreciate you. If anything, there's plenty of examples of where if a black woman has predominantly or anything of an Asian feature, they will be seen as something other than the average black person, if just like a notch above or more highly regarded as somebody of who is more desirable. If they're like lighter skinned, they're the yellow girl, or she
Yeah, black
they're
beauty,
more
black people.
desirable. Yeah, and I've been hearing the word, like, I think Fanatiq said this in the beginning, where they love black culture, but I don't believe they love black culture. I think it's more of like there's always been an over sexualization of not only black but also Asian, but there's this over sexualization of black women, and it's more of a lust where they're not willing to, like many of you guys brought up the example of whether or not they're willing to be down with the causes of black people, but they never go that far. They just profit off our image. I feel like they're just profiting. They like us at our expense rather than liking us at their expense. This is why that's why I'm saying there's a contrast between the like and the lust. I mean, the love and the lust. They lust us. But it's not just them, and we are also guilty of this too. Like, there's plenty of people who say, like, I don't want to marry or black men who say, I don't want to marry a dark skinned woman
Mhm.
because I don't want my babies to be dark skinned. I'm going to marry or have kids with somebody who's lighter, or or a white or Spanish or Asian person, because they'll look better, they'll do better in society. All the selfish malarkey they come up with at the just because. um I feel like we need to sometimes broaden, and this is why I said it's harder to have this conversation, because then I think we need to broaden the perspectives and broaden the analysis to not just white people. We need to say, why do we copy what's desirable, to profit off of it? And it's pretty obvious. Like you brought up the example is, if somebody's in a company and they're willing to do what they need to do in order to get as far as they can, they're going to do that. The only issue is they compromise their integrity, and then when they get caught or they have any type of criticism, now they're just either playing dumb, they'll lie, they'll just lie until they die, or they'll, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean this. There's a lack of accountability amongst a lot of people, and it's a pervasive issue amongst all of like, amongst all of us. you know I'm pretty sure some people on this panel have said, like, at one point, we had the dating interracial dating conversation. Some people said at one point, I felt, I'm not going to mischaracterize, but some at one point people were dating outside of their race because they realized that they might have had some internal struggles that they were dealing with. I it's very it's a really delicate thing, and I feel like blackfishing has grown this large because we've given so much credence to it. Like, we've given it so much attention. Blackface is a real thing. In media, like, they'll create full-on black costumes for white people to wear to portray us, but not hire a black person. That's an issue. Like, I watched a whole video on YouTube where on Broadway they had a whole custom outfit with hair, and cut from a wig made of a black person's hair. A whole outfit. a facing where you couldn't even see her skin anymore. You could like literally this person looked like a black person, but you peel off all this, all the skins off, all the wig. There you have it. You have a white person instead of just hiring a black person, and it's like this. There's this in society. We to just bring it back because I said a lot to bring it back. In society, we tend to see, other features more desirable, or, we tend to see people having the features of black people more, and even for black people, like Nicki Minaj, like getting the BBL, and because she was originally really skinny during her, like when she first started, she was like a regular girl from Queens, just walking on the street, looking like your family member. And then all of a sudden she gets real like superstar status, and now her butt is huge, her lips are huge, her hair is long, like it's all over the place.
Those things
so
denote
really
status now, though, right? Like those are
so
just...
yeah, like when it's of like prestige and desirability and status. When you start getting larger, look at Chloe Bailey. There's this what's this woman I'm thinking of, like Tory Lennox or something like that, where anytime Ari Lennox, there you go, where they come off, they start off really like this. They have this organic look. They have this really average black girl look, and they really start off. They have like good progression. They sound good. They're doing all the right things, but they just don't get to that superstar status until they start exaggerating their appearance into things that are beyond what the average black woman
Ari
looks
Lennox
like.
do that?
I think those were two bad examples. I feel like Chloe and Halle were just 12 when they started, and now they're adults and doing
look
grown
at
woman
Chloe.
stuff.
No, because Chloe Bailey is like, have you seen her latest music? Like, I have a big butt.
Yeah,
like,
it's my wife now.
Yeah, of course it is.
I'm
not gonna fault you, bro. It is what it is. I had to unfollow, man. I still follow her sister Haley because I like that organic appeal because I like how my sisters look.
She's just grown.
But what? No, man, she's been touched by Beyonce, man. She had the Beyonce, like Beyonce was looking really organic when she first started, and now Beyonce looks totally, or she looks like totally just to reach that international audience.
Well, Beyonce's also had twins, so
yeah, she's like a mom. She's gonna have work done of it.
No, before she even had the twins.
I would say before. Come on, like before
she had twins. Come on, we gotta be honest.
Let's get Jay in, please.
I kind of want to switch from this portion, but I'll say my piece if you guys want to keep going on this line. I want to go back to what you said about accountability and holding people accountable, Azzy, even though the majority of your take was so trash. Like I just don't agree with you. But
accountability is bad now?
On accountability.
We got a Fanatiq sympathizer out here, bro. Like, that's crazy.
It's a great strat. So it's really a great strat. On accountability, Nikki defended her, right? Are we gonna hold her accountable for defending her? Like, are we saying? I want to say
I don't trust Nicki Minaj's judgment.
I don't trust Nikki, but I even
don't.
held Nikki in account because even she, in her organic form, she was still a great rapper to some. Some people had their criticisms, but overall, Nikki's still a great rapper. But that's not get to that international,
we have to hold her accountable because she is defending someone who is
because she does the same things.
I don't. Okay, that's where we disagree.
We don't have to go too far down this road.
We don't have to go there, but I already said that Nikki has participated in changing her original organic black image.
I'm not talking.
I want to focus on blackfishing. Like I want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like she being Nikki is defending someone who is being detrimental to her fan base, to the majority of the people that listen to her. Is that not wrong to say?
She's detrimental to her fan base?
Yeah, like
by defending a girl who's just doing what they always do in media, which is change their organic features to then appeal to some type of and put on some type of desirable feature.
No. This is white woman
So what are you
who
saying?
is blackfishing.
Swedish girl, who starts putting on black or brown tan. Like for me, on personally, I thought she looked more like Hispanic or like Middle Eastern. Me personally, we could say they're black too, but I don't think she was trying. She didn't
She was
all of a
wearing a
sudden
kangaroo
look
hat
like
and braids
she
in
didn't
one
look
of
like
the
Gabriella Union, Gabrielle Union or my girl Nia Long, who is the third best thing on earth, like besides Oxygen and Jesus. I'm
Okay,
gonna say
all
that
right.
right now.
Come on. I mean,
But
I
like
want.
she doesn't look dark skinned. She looks like a brown Hispanic girl for me.
Okay, I do want to. I want to like get back because I feel like we're kind of a little wandering a
Okay,
bit.
yeah. So
So
like
let me.
she's defending a black. Yeah, blackfishing is bad if you're like
Okay.
doing it for profit. Yes.
So okay.
Terrible.
So all right. Let me try to engage here a little bit. What you all got going on. So I think why people do this, I think, is really interesting. Understanding that, right? Like, one, I think we should try not to read intentions into everything, right? Like, because sometimes we think something is black, and it's not, right? Like, okay, is a simple example, like in anime. In anime,
Thank you.
there
I
is
love you, Prime.
people think
ahead.
that like all characters are white because they have like what we classically look like white features, right? People in the West think that, and like, oh well, Japanese people, they just want to be white. Like, why do we draw all these white characters? No, but for Japanese people, for the Japanese artists, they're like, no, these are all Japanese characters. I draw them with like hair different color, eyes different color, right? But that's just because for artistic purposes, because it's more fun to do it that way. But no, these are all Japanese people. But we read into it what we want to see, right? So like we should be careful of that, right? That's the thing that can happen. And it's hard not to, because you can only come from your own perspective, right? So it's just an honest mistake. But that being said, there's some bullshit that happens on Instagram. There's some bullshit that people are pulling. I think Fanatiq said something interesting previously, and I'm going to try to remember it. If I get it wrong, then I apologize. But he was talking about like the credit, like how these things are stolen and packaged and commodified. Did I get that right? Hopefully I did. Yeah, they're commodified, and like what parts are actually commodified. And I think it's interesting as to like what they particularly pick. What's marketable? Like it's the exoticism specifically that they're selling, right? They don't look like just any, like when they do like the whole darkening of skin, they don't look like just any black girl off the street, right? Like not any black girl will do, right? They got that mixed look about them. You know what I'm talking about, right? That very mixed, flawless skin look, when even it's like a pound of makeup, but like a flawless skin type look, right? And that's what they're selling because that what sells, right? They darken the skin to get that exoticism, and they do it for Asia too. There's like a yellow fishing, I think that's what it's called. They do exactly the same thing too, right? They give out that flair that something is different, and then companies want to work with them. Like they'll get sponsorships, right? Like, look at this girl, this amazing look, right? Because they think that themselves like aren't enough for that, and so these are the parts they take. But like in terms of like the body shape, right? Like the body type, right? The body type is very very thin, right? Usually very very thin. That's what they're going for, right? They don't explore other body types there. They don't explore women who have like non-straightened hair, right? Like it's almost always straightened hair. They don't you don't see them like curl it like that. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like those features aren't as marketable, right? They don't do that. So I love what you are saying. Like we have to like break it down and separate all these things. I'll say more later on. But
yeah, I mean, it's all about black. Like they want the black aesthetic. They just want it from non-black bodies, like from non-black people. Like that's the goal at the end of the day, because it's like it's black. You get all the all the positives. Like, it's like no MSG, like low fat version of it. Without the having to deal with community issues, without like, they might not, they probably won't go woke on us, or whatever the studio execs, like try to come up with. And they create these people like a dime a dozen.
So what? Okay, so but now, is it necessarily a bad thing? Now this is the part. This is the fight. Because he's always shaking his head. Because what I don't want to do is like be a gatekeeper. Right? I don't like. Well, I do it all the time for certain things, but for this in particular, like I'm not sure. But I do gatekeep some things, but like I don't like. I like it when I see that people want to engage in like urban styles, right? Like let's take away like the skin darkening. Let's move that aside for a second, right? But if you see a person who might be white or Asian or whatever, right? Walking down the street in style that's like classically urban wear, like, do you think that's necessarily like a problem, right? Like it seems like we have created, just like Fanatiq said before, we've created, and people want to emulate. We hip hop is a perfect example. It's something we did, and it's spread across the world, and there are people appreciating it, loving it, and engaging with it. So I wouldn't tell them like stop rapping, right? And fucking Egyptian, right? Don't rap because you didn't make that. No, I want them to engage. So when I see that much, I think that's worth it. What do y'all think of at least that much?
Well,
I'll
problem-
shut up after this. Oh, you can go.
The problem is the anti-blackness that's there, right? Like, if it was just like, hey, yeah, we just want to make music and like we're good with music, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
sure, that's fine. I have no problem with that. The problem comes that these same individuals have so much insane anti-blackness, and they don't really want to support black movements. They don't care about like reparations and things like that. They perpetuate anti-blackness within their own individual cultures, and so it's like, yeah, no, I start having a problem with it at that point, because it's like, you can. Oh my God, I don't know. I guess that's just it. It's just the anti-blackness.
In a
That's so
vacuum.
prevalent.
Yeah, in a vacuum, all that stuff sounds great, but there's so much like actual like historic just racism and just absolute hatred for the things that for like the minute things of the black community, and particularly in America, right? Like so much like anti-black stuff. All the like the things that came out about black people after they were freed, to saying they were rapists and all these other things, all the vitriol things that have been done to push down black people in general, and then to turn around and say, hey, that music though, like that, it seems like really it's fucky.
Now I want to fight
think,
that one.
I
But go
think
ahead, Bam.
we are holding it. What sucks, and this is just a reality with, I don't know, with popularity,
Pause for a
with
quick
integration.
second.
Oh, my bad.
Quick second. No, it's just IRI. I'm really important. Was so kind to rate us with 121 individuals. That's really kind. Thank you so much, IRI. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Everyone, go check out I'm really important. He runs a great channel, like hard news. Like, seriously, if you want to learn more about like how like Congress works, how our government works on a deeper level, right? Like there's a lot of surface level stuff that happens here on Twitch, right? But if you want to learn a deeper level on the mechanics of it all, go check out IRI. He does great work. Seriously, I'm not playing around. Go do it. The link is in chat. Check out I'm Really Important. To those who have come in, thank you for being here. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Prime. We do this panels all the time, right? We're having a panel, all black everything. We're talking about blackfishing, where white people basically like tan their skins and like put on urban world, try to pretend that they're actually black and use that for their own monetary gain. We're talking about that right now. Before, we were talking about how Colin Powell is a fucking war criminal, right? He's a moral monster. Got everyone to admit that. That's great. I'm amazing like that way. Anyway, look, we have panels all the time. After this, we'll have an open walk-on panel where audience members like you, yes, you sitting at home, may participate. If you want to give your opinion on any of these topics or other topics, hit that follow button right now. Make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live. It is 6 nights a week. You don't want you to miss out on all that content. So hit that follow button right this second. If you haven't done so yet, we'd love to have you. But yeah, we'll have this content and more content after that. I think you'll really love it. Thank you, IRI, once again for the kindness helping us out. All right, Bam. Again, I apologize for interrupting you.
No, you good. What sucks is that we're going with like some things we are going to lose with time, with popularity and with integration. We're going to lose some of the things that we hold specifically to us, and that's just the reality of time. Like even, and I'm not like, even with the Aquafina thing, I don't know Aquafina's like lifestyle specifically, but like hip hop culture, although we all understand the historical connections of hip hop with Black people, hip hop culture is now something, for better or for worse, something that's bigger than Black people. And like, just growing up listening to hip hop music, or just like liking Jordans, doesn't say anything about your opinion on reparations in 2021. It's just not. And I know you weren't going that extreme with it, but I'm just like, just for the sake of conversation, like, it's not something that we a connection that people make anymore. And like I said, that could probably be for worse. But I don't think that people are faking. I don't think that a lot of these people who act in the way they act are doing so like as a caricature of disingenuously, or a caricature of Blackness. I think these are, for a lot of people, really the communities they grew up in, and really the like areas they come from. And it's not even like they came from a fully Black area, but they could have grew up in what we consider to be a nice part of whatever, like some city, but they still involved with like hip hop culture and just rap, or like these things in their like middle school, high school, whatever. There were still the Black kids who maybe weren't from these situations, and I don't think they make the connection to race. I think this is just what what popular culture is becoming.
I am not about to be that
disagree.
charitable. I'm not.
I disagree. You're talking about external material things, and we're talking about both external material things that you like, clothes, jewelry, like how you style your hair, like I'll use that, even
aesthetics.
Aesthetics from what you can put on. I used to think that my nose was too big for my face. That's not something I can easily change, right? I'm talking about internal things, like things I cannot change about myself, or I do not want to change about myself, right? Those, I feel like those are two different things that you're putting together as one. And so I don't know, I disagree with that.
Historically we've seen, as Fanatiq said earlier as well, is that we've had other things like rock, jazz, all other things. And then over time, more or less, and while we may know that those things originated in the Black community, a lot of people don't. There's a lot of erasure of the actual origin of some things that are taken from Black communities. And now we think like the king of rock and roll is like Elvis or something. I don't. Like,
we're never gonna give that back to Chuck Berry.
Feature from someone like in a generation. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I'm not saying these things are good. I'm just saying that like I think we're putting a lot of what Prime was talking about, intention on, like, oh yeah, we know why Aquafina talks the way she talks. She's trying to be Black, and I don't think that that's necessarily true. I don't think we can put that intention on her. I think that she could legitimately be from an area.
No, she's not from that area. She had an extremely Asian experience. That was not her experience. She knows that she's putting on a character, 100%. She's very well aware of it. And if you can have enough, right?
Not a character, a caricature.
Right, a caricature. Thank you. That's a very good clarification there. And I think it's evident when she can be self-aware enough to resist even doing accents of any kind, but somehow she doesn't recognize how this thing appears Black to most people. Like it's literally a very, very obviously black
Do you
black
think they
actor
appear
she's
black to
doing.
most people? Is that something you believe?
Do
Yeah.
you
When
not?
I've heard,
I
have you
don't.
heard? Have you heard any
Oh
of
yeah,
like?
you're crazy. I'm not even
I
going to
don't.
entertain you anymore.
I don't believe that the average person looks at her and says like, oh yeah, this is the black thing. Like, and
Yeah,
I recognize that, but I don't think the average person is this like goes that deep into it.
In black, the way like a particular dialect or a particular area of black people may speak sounds more or less southern, right? You could sort of link those two things together. A lot of black people will probably hang on to their southern accents and the way they pronounce their e's and r's, a's, whatever. That's which goes back to like just English, just being a fucky language from the old place, right? Um, when you speak like that, you can say like, oh, I'm not doing a black accent per se, but when you speak with a certain accent and then your actions also seem to coincide with certain stereotypical tropes, then you could probably safely assume that she's doing like a black accent.
There was
I
this
just don't.
there's this thing on Instagram. No, it was on TikTok where this Asian girl gets, she's putting on makeup and she's speaking in slang, and then all of a sudden she uses the slang wrong and she says chili. And we later find out that she was trying to say child because when black
Jesus.
people type out child, they spell it the way you would spell chili. So then she goes off. So where she's getting it from. She's getting it from these black social media spaces. She's, or not just her, but there's a lot of people who will observe, watch, and copy. And sometimes they will do it wrong. And a lot of people, sometimes it's funny to us and we'll say, oh, God bless her heart, she's fun, but she's funny, it's okay. But there's other people who are a little bit,
Yeah.
I just there's a little bit. Sometimes there's more, insidious.
Yeah, sometimes
nature.
there is. Yeah.
I would
But
also probably say, sorry, I just want to say real quick. What Prime said earlier about when we were talking about when me and him were talking about the Japanese thing, particularly, right? Going the anti-culture. A lot of anti-culture in this country it stems from black culture. So when people are imitating black culture, they're doing anti-culture, but it's at the lieu of disregarding the historical context of black culture.
I don't think that we can always I don't think we can do this because it just works to our detriment. We can't. I don't think we can self-define, say that like, oh yeah, this is what talking black is. This is what walking black is. And
it's
then
not. It's just
but,
there is a form because not all
I
black
agree with the
culture is
insidiousness.
popular on social media.
Let Bam
There.
Bam finish up.
I'm just saying. I'm saying I don't think we can simultaneously have like this is what talking back is. This is what walking back is. Outside of those like really insidious cases, and then also like on the reverse end, like when we tell push back on the idea that and we societally tell black people that you aren't black enough because you don't fit into these stereotypes. Like if like there can't be a black voice and then say that like there is no black voice at the same time. It's one or the other. Like I don't think you can hold these two things simultaneously.
Only some parts of the black voices being pervasive in social media. And it's usually like it's the spectacle. It's the ones that people find funny, find entertaining, or find desirable. Which is
Chet
usually
Hanks is fake. My bad, cutting you off.
Yeah, Chet. I was thinking of a joke for Chet Hanks. I was watching but no, I'm about to derail. But go ahead, J Cook. Go ahead.
No, I saw that Channel 5 news video you're about to talk about. No, this is to Bam and I guess a little bit to Azzy, but then what about if there's no black voice, then how do we? I mean, I'm looking at the Britannica right now, and they classify Ebonics or AAVE as a dialect. So is that not? If that's valid, then how is it not something that people imitate and try to do?
It's valid because
historical.
Yeah, it's historical. It's valid because if you go deeper into it, right? A lot of black people, even the white people, kind of talk like the black people in those areas. If you want to be really like some of that dialects, they all kind of talk the same in that area,
Yeah,
right?
it's income based
You
too,
know,
right?
I'm
so
literally
and then
okay, I'm gonna read
but
this.
it's mixed in because there's some parts of the original African dialects that was mixed into it, so that's what made it more of our own dialect.
Jay.
But it's like this hyper focus on some parts of Black culture that people find interesting, or like we use the word exotic or desirable.
Jay, finish.
You know,
Read that thing.
Okay. It did say a little bit of what as he touched on, but it says the structural similarities between Ebonics and American Southern English, except double negatives, relative clauses, are attribute attributable to their parallel development on the cotton plantations of the southeastern United States from the diverse varieties of English brought to the colonies by the original settlers. So I feel like no.
I mean, I feel like I'm sorry. It just seems like we keep like drifting away from like the conversation, specifically like blackfishing, right? Like I want to examine like what it means to take on this persona, right? What it means to do all that. Jamali, you had said something previously. I wish I remember what it was, but I wanted to fight you on it. I forget what it was. God damn it, it kills me. But like, and whether we should necessarily be uh, saying this is detrimental, right? Like I think that these styles, right, are a bit more, are becoming more universal, and that's a good thing. And Fanatiq, I think you had a problem with that, right? Like that these things were becoming a bit more universal, and that's okay, right? At least what I think. If you're talking Fanatiq, we can't hear you.
he said that. He
Yeah.
didn't say that.
I mean,
No, Prime said that. Fanatic disagreed.
yeah, Fanatiq.
Fanatic didn't say that. Fanatic was
Freak.
saying that it was.
All right, there we go.
It was a
Yeah,
problem.
I don't have a problem with these things. Like, I don't have a problem with like culture like being shared and things like that. My biggest problem is what I just keep seeing is that Black artists get rejected for the same culture, like, and that there's this like specific push to get Black culture from white artists, and I think that's where the problem comes. Right?
Yeah. Okay. You said this previously. Okay. Yeah. I think that's interesting. Talking about Elvis, you brought that up about Elvis, right? Elvis using the music of Black people, right? And that dancing, right? Like pulling that in and then pretending it's his fucking own, right? And then he is the king of rock. Okay. All right.
That's what I said. I think.
Yeah.
That you might have an issue with.
Was that okay? But anyway, yeah, like that's a problem, right? That's a problem. But
So is Justin Bieber blackfishing?
Justin Bieber is not black. Justin Bieber. I don't know enough about Justin Bieber. Honestly, I don't watch this.
He don't do Black music.
Yeah, I don't.
He don't really.
Well, a lot of
that's
people,
not his style.
have made the analysis that Justin Bieber has taken on a lot of black sounds, Black features, been adjacent to Black artists. He
I don't
even did
know.
a remix with an Afro pop star. Literally, I could put up the song. It's on like top Afro pop star remixes.
Okay, all right,
Like,
all right.
Justin
So
Bieber does tons of
so
stuff
hold
with
on.
Black people.
So did
He was literally put on by Usher.
Oh, true. Okay, but hold on. But that's a Black man. Usher is a Black man who raised desired to elevate him.
Who enabled
right?
him.
That's
I
different.
call it enabling.
Enable him. Okay, Azzy,
I
I don't
call it
understand that. How is that? Azzy, I don't get that. He like saw this kid, saw that he has some sort of talent, right? And he did. I mean, he became like a huge superstar. Like this is not like a joke, right? He saw he had talent, and he uses startup. That's different than what like happened with Elvis. Elvis specifically stealing that, right? Like I don't know. I don't think like that's even comparable to what we're talking about.
I don't think we've done much of analysis of Justin. Like I've literally
I
heard this whole
I
conversation
haven't, but,
on
I
like
don't-
I've heard this
I
whole
sh-
conversation on like the Joe Budden podcast where they say he got his flowers, he got his money, he did his thing, but there was like a whole analysis of like he's doing he has a Black sound.
I don't know. I don't know enough. I honestly I don't know enough about him to make that. And maybe you're right, but I just don't know enough about him. I don't know his music. I couldn't name a song of his. in like in the last like 8 years or something. But so fuck what Fanatiq was saying was, yeah, like Elvis, and how some artists, like, since they're taking the fun stuff, right, and leaving everything else behind, that we suffer. But that's what I wanted to talk. Fuck, come on. I had it and I lost it. Jamali said something. I had it and I lost it. You said, you were talking about like how this is a collective. Yes, okay. You brought up like fucking slavery or some shit, right? You brought up like past grievances. That's what you said. You brought up past grievances and said like they were all to blame.
I was saying that because pushing down, rejecting Black culture, rejecting Black people, and then turning around and saying like, I'm gonna actually take your culture and music.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to think of what you said the entire time. Thank you for that. Okay, yeah. Like, what does a white person born today have anything to do with that? A kid who is enjoying Black styles, right? Urban wear. Like, what do they have to? Like, that has nothing to do with them. They aren't considering that at all. Like, there's no irony in them like enjoying those things.
No.
Sorry, what? I didn't hear you.
I was saying like it's wrong because like people making profit off of it. I don't care about the individual person. Like the people making profit off of imitating or characterizing this culture is not good, and it comes after years of being told that Black culture is bad.
But I don't like. But hold on. But I don't see why you would bring in the past, like in that matter, right? So Jessie woman, the pop singer that started this whole conversation.
Jessie Nelson, thank you.
She did not commit, as far as I know, any crimes against African Americans. Now she's continuing a tradition. She might be continuing a tradition of like stealing Black Black genius or Black talent or whatever, right? She might be doing that, but she didn't. Like, she has nothing to do with like the racism of the past. I think it kind of muddles the whole argument when you bring up like past racial grievances. Like that individual person, just even if they're stealing it, right? They're
I could see what you mean, like muddling, but I wasn't at that point. Was not talking about Jessie Nelson. I think we were talking about the more global aspect of just like how Black culture sort of moved around the world. Sure, you could say that bringing up the historical parts do nothing for the argument, and I would say I a little bit disagree with that because historical context is everything when you're talking about why something is even the way it is.
I think Jessie's completely like stealing, like because she's taking a space that would otherwise be held by somebody Black. Like that's the aesthetic she's going for.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I completely buy into like what she's doing is like she's trying to be the Black aesthetic. And the reason I say that is because she wouldn't like her success is she tried the little mixed chicks like group or whatever. Like her current success is like completely related to her sneaking into Black culture. Like if she didn't have like the approval of Nicki Minaj and like other, I wouldn't say approval, but if she didn't like have like Black people co-signing her as like what she's doing is cool, she wouldn't be in this position. Like her if she just made the same music she was making just specifically to white people, like it wouldn't matter. She wouldn't be on. She had to like go to Diddy, go to Nicki, go to like she had to change up her entire style for this.
So that's part of the entire game. So if you saw like Ariana Grande when she started like doing like the OD tanning and going like completely ham, like she was doing it with Nicki Minaj. Like at first she like had Nicki Minaj and she featured her on I mean they did what's that song?
Like Nicki keeps coming up.
Side to Side, and like so she was like doing all these things where she was having like Nicki Minaj featured as like a verse. And then eventually it was like, I think I've kind of gotten my Black street cred. So then she just like abandoned it. And then it was just like, no, it's just going to be me. And so then at that point, like she started like literally rapping on her own songs and like on Seven Rings. And they do that all the time. Like you use like Black people in order to get like your social acceptance from Black culture. And then you're already going to get your social acceptance from white culture because you're white. So like they do that so that they get the black acceptance, and after that, then they just go back to doing whatever the freak that they want to do without black people.
Like
It's just
Miley
a matter of
Cyrus.
absolutely, absolutely, it was disgusting.
Yeah, actually, then she said she had the nerve to say that, oh, this culture is misogynistic and materialistic. Bitch, what the fuck? What do you mean?
And you was
What?
all over it. Like you was living it. She was number one. No.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't believe
because
she
she
said
gets
that shit.
yeah. It's crazy because again, this is that like that thing that we're talking about, where at the end of the day, that those people get to go back and be white. Like they can stop the black caricature and then just retreat to their whiteness at any time. That's I think one of the biggest problems with it. Like it really kills me. Like you'll see these people that are like, "No, man, I was raised in the street and I was a thug and whoop, 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 look at my tattoos," and they're like they're in this whole character. But you know, at any time when it's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to get my life back together," and they go and applying at those jobs, that white people will have that sympathy and say, "Oh, you know, you remind me of my grandson. You just kind of lost your way. Don't worry about you. Don't worry about it. I got you." And it will give them like a chance back at redemption. Whereas for black people, that they don't have that same privilege. Like that is exactly the problem. It's like you're doing black music, which is typically made from black struggle, from your position of white privilege, and that to me is just disgusting.
I think there are and this isn't blackfishing, but I think there are like legitimate cases. Like the first person I brought up was Paul Wall. Like I do believe that I don't think he's attempting to be black. I think he's just making the music from his actual perspective. Like, and I think he's genuine in that. But yeah, like
It's a case, case to case. You can argue for a case to case basis.
Yeah, it's case to case. Yeah, what this girl is doing is like bad though, super bad.
Fanatiq. My friend in chat, Brentobox, asked a interesting question. He says like what does mainstream acceptance of black culture look like if not imitation? And yeah, like wouldn't that look like if society's being accepting black culture, that there would be a lot of imitation. People are like, okay, well, this is something interesting, and take pieces of, and we take pieces of other cultures too, right? We take pieces out of like European cultures and incorporate that, right? Like imitating them.
That's literally what I said.
I'm sorry.
I think it's white people going on tours.
I remember that. I'll apologize. But Fanatiq, what do you think about that?
Well, I think, you know, there's a thing. I don't know. I guess it depends on like how caricature-ish it comes off, right? Because like it's one thing just to be like, yeah, you know, I like black music and that's that. It's another thing when like you're like going out of your way to imitate some of like, you know, just like I said, caricatures, like black features. Tanning your skin. You don't have to do that. You can appreciate black culture. Bruno Mars like darkening himself in order to appreciate black music, right? Like you just like the music, so you do the music. When you start like putting on like changing your appearance and your like vernacular and things like that in order to take part in something, like it just seems like now this is no longer just raw appreciation of it. It seems like you're caricaturing.
And some people get mad at like if you ever go to like any like A-list black like music festival or concert like that, everybody's white. I'm completely fine with like people giving like black artists money. Like I get on some degree they like raise ticket prices because there's so many of them, like so much of an interest. But like I don't get mad that like Beyonce, the average Beyonce concert, if you look in the crowd, is going to be like 85% white people paying her $500, $1,000 a ticket. Now I'm sure there's other people getting like bigger cuts of that, but I don't have an issue with that. I think that's just good for the culture. Get the coin. That's appreciation.
Exposure of the culture is great, but what's the part of the culture that's being exposed? Is it?
I basically said it's the more hood, southern, southeastern, ebonics. It's the
that's not good.
Anytime someone said it's the mixed race black person, it's the like we already said, like if the average black person does not have these features, they do not break a certain boundary within the entertainment industry. They will forever remain a B tier and below artist. Like they'll never.
How long do you think it takes for Logic to let you know he's mixed? Whenever he's talking,
no, that Logic was concert. Logic. I think Logic was saying that from the beginning. We just didn't care because most people didn't know Logic until like I don't know, to a certain point.
I feel like he does it every 30 seconds.
It's because black
Half
people
black,
keep
half
hounding him.
white.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
yeah, black people
keep hounding
tend
him.
to, chew people up for. There's a lot of colorism in the black community. Let's not pretend, and there's a lot of issues with people being mixed race in the black community. So it's not.
Which is why I said if we're gonna have this it's harder to have this conversation because we all do it. It's just that the only problem with blackfishing is, the average black woman is going to go without a job, or she will be gatekept. She will not get her due dessert.
I think Fanatiq had been getting at this point, and it's something I didn't get a chance to address previously, talking about the anti-blackness baked into all these things, right? And like comparing that, like, okay, so rather than like historically, like looking at it like right now, what's happening? Like if you have people who are upholding, like, okay, so like rather than gatekeeping, right? But like upholding like white systems, right? Like if you have individuals who like, okay, like I'm gonna take this black aesthetic, right? But I'm not gonna hire black talent to work with me, right? I'm not going to incorporate them into my act, right? When I become a producer, right? When I'm elevating myself in the business, I'm not pulling along these people, right? From this culture which I've taken so much from, right? Because there might be a white person with better skills, right? Or just being out racist behind the scenes or whatever it is, right? That stuff like that, I think is like a better case for like against this type of behavior, because so often these people don't like take us along with them, right? Like they forget about us. Fanatiq was saying, and someone else brought up the woman from Disney who what's her name?
Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus, thank you. Sorry, Miley Cyrus. Exactly that. Yeah. Like she took on the aesthetic and she used like black dancers for their bodies, right? Like in black dancers with a certain body type, right? A certain very exaggerated body type. And then as soon as she was done with that, like she had done her arc, well, then they were gone, right? Like where is she like elevating black voices? She took it and she was done with it. I think that's different, and I think that's what like maybe Fanatiq and other people were trying to get to. Then, like for instance, here's a good example. Here's a really good example. And then I'm gonna pronounce his name wrong. But like it was like Fanatiq, help me out here. Nujabes. You know what I'm talking about?
Nujabes. Yeah, the Japanese artist.
Yeah, Nujabes. Yes, right. That guy, perfect. R.I.P. to him. But like he was a producer.
Oh, he died.
Oh, he died long ago. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. It's a shame. Yeah, in a car accident, I believe. He had an appreciation for black music. He was fascinated by the stuff, right? And he like was mixing beats like all over the place, and like the best beats this man was coming up with.
Anyone's ever watched Samurai Champloo?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, he came up with that stuff. Exactly. Yeah. But what did he do? Right? He didn't just like take that and then go like, all right, well, fight these black people, right? He actually brought in black artists to work with them, elevating them, right? Came up with like amazing tracks that are still legendary to this day, right? And people can still eat off of that. Still eat off of that. He died a long time ago, but still people are still eating off of that.
He made Fuego beats.
And he like listen to the artists, right? Because I saw a documentary about him. Like listen to the artists talk about that guy and like how he like genuinely had appreciation for the culture, right? And they would just like talk shop with him about like rap and hip hop and the history of it all, right? And he loved it. That's different from a person just like taking this aesthetic. Like I'm gonna wear this today. And
I think that's exactly the point. As I think, like you can find people who appreciate black artists, like Moonchild. Like she's an artist. She's not out here in blackface or like OD tan, bro. She's pale as hell. I think she's like I don't know if that phrase is offensive. So a redhead. So like yeah, like it's not like she's doing blackface, like right? She just has black influence, and then like her backup singers are typically black and things like that. And she's acknowledging something that's black music is great. I get why you'd want to be a part of it, but again, you don't have to caricature it in order to do it. Like there are plenty of artists that pay their homage. Like I keep bringing up Bruno Mars, but he's not the only person that's out here doing black music and not trying to make it like and not being a caricature. He's not darkening his skin. Like, but like Michael Jackson was a humongous influence on this nigga. You listen to well, I don't know, all of his music you can hear like different influences, and it's very, very obvious. That's not the problem, but there is a problem with these white people very often doing this black music and then retreating to their white privilege, if ever. And again, this is all counterculture, like built from struggle. So it feels really, really disingenuous for these people to start trying to imitate it and like intentionally like like changing their dialect to try to speak AAVE in order to like try to participate in this culture. It just seems like, I don't know, it just seems gross. It seems like
How do we
you're
feel
intentionally. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Well, how do we feel about the DJ Khaled's and Fat Joe's of the world? Like, somebody gave Fat Joe apparently a national nigga pass, and I don't know who gave it to him.
Wait, he's from the Bronx. What the fuck do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I think I wasn't a fan of it.
Isn't he Hispanics? Is he Hispanic?
What does that
Yeah,
mean?
but so
we
with
don't do that in the
Jennifer.
South.
So yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say
nah,
mileage.
we're from New York, bro.
Do y'all
Mileage
have
varies wherever
Hispanic
you
people
go.
in the
Like,
South?
you know what I mean? Jennifer
He got
Lopez
it
is also.
nationally.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, well, depending. I mean, there's still some circles. You're gonna say it around some niggas, and it's not gonna go over pretty. Mileage will vary. No person has the ability to speak for everyone. We're not a monolith. But Jennifer Lopez is also from the Bronx, and yeah, it was all bad. It was all bad. Like she's from the Bronx, and she said it in her song, and it was crazy hoopla, right? So like it's still, it's questionable.
It's a very anecdotal. As someone who grew up in New York City, no one gives a shit if you're white or if you're Spanish or if you're black. If you grew up in an area, we grew up in an area together, and that was more or less how people behaved in certain. It wasn't like a certain like you couldn't be this and that. To some people, obviously, like Fanatiq said, we're not a monolith, but generally speaking, I did not encounter these things where people were like demonized for even saying nigga, and their skin is white as hell, and they're like Puerto Rican or like even Dominicans.
Well, once again, even New York isn't a monolith because everybody remembers. I don't know. I don't remember what that type of tea was, but you guys remember that tea where that guy, like, there was that one dude and he kept saying nigga to that one dude, and I think it seemed like that dude. Whatever. Either way, they kept saying it, and eventually the dude like cracked him over the head with that tea, and like inside of that store it was in the grocery store. Do you guys remember that video? And it went pretty freaking viral. Because the guy kept calling him nigga, and he was like, "Yeah, don't ever call me that again," right? And like he had I forget what kind of tea it was. Somebody else can find it for me. Someone in my chat, anybody know what I'm talking about? So like it mileage is going to vary wherever the freak you go. So it's I don't care what kind of pass you got. Just know that if you're not black and you're using that phrase, there's potential for some hygiene.
No, I would never advocate for someone being big and then doing that stuff too. Like once your platform gets big enough, no matter where you're from, if you're if you're not going to pass as someone who's black, then you probably shouldn't be doing that because you're reaching a lot more people than just your community or your area where you live, where no one might care as much.